What's up guys, Chris the Greek Weeb here again with another 4 Nights of the Apocalypse manga chapter review. Now this chapter was honestly another solid chapter in my opinion. This series so far has had a pretty strong start and I honestly can't wait to see what else we get. Now this chapter more or less debunks a lot of stuff I said in my previous video on the 4 Nights of the Apocalypse, but it also gives us some possibilities for what could happen next. Before I get into the video, let me just remind you to like and subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and comment down below to help keep the channel going and improve the content that I will continue to do week by week. I'm sorry if I've been a little lax with the uploads. I've had a lot of stuff going on in my life, but I'm going to be trying to do my best from this point onward. And with that out of the way, let's just get into the video. So within the last chapter, we got Percival essentially being Nasians' guinea pig, and also getting some possibilities that he might be, I don't know, like a fairy, or maybe the son of King in the End, which is honestly my theory, due to Dolores and him basically being like brother and sister, according to what we got in the brief bit of exposition between her and Donnie and Sin. We also learned that actually Nasian doesn't seem to be a bad guy. What he's been doing with all his experiments is trying to find a way to save the animals and plant life of Echo Gorge. And when the last chapter ended with Percival just straight up drinking one of the poisons that Nasian made, which he honestly wasn't even sure if it would work. But with this chapter, we get the continuation of it. Chapter 9, The Venom Mixer. So this channel starts off with Percival flat on the ground from eating that elixir, that potion, or whatever it's called, as Nasian is just straight up shocked and thinking that Percival just lost his mind, just drinking something that could potentially kill him due to him not actually testing it out. So he starts screaming out, seemingly in pain, and Nasian, thinking that he possibly messed up, goes to check on Percival as he jumps up, saying that he feels a surge of power in him from his entire body, and he starts to like run around in circles, runs out of the house, and just yells a very weird set of words. He just screams "numb nuts" for no reason whatsoever. I just found that hilarious. I don't know why he'd say that, and now we know why it's called Echo Gorge, because we hear the echo, as Donnie and Sin ended up hearing Percival, thinking, oh, if that was him, yeah, it's probably fine. So Nasian's asking why he did something clearly dangerous, as Percival just says that, as Percival says he's not really up on the details, but he can tell that Nasian made that drug to save the gorge. And he says, and Percival's asking, so by how I am, is it working? As Nasian says that it's very clearly a success, as Percival is more or less, as Nasian is actually very happy to hear that someone is actually saying that this is great. He introduces himself as Nasian to Percival, and then he takes what's little left of the elixir that he had made and just straight up drinks it. Nasian falls to the ground, as Percival's just straight up confused what's going on, as Donnie and Sin show up wondering what the heck happened to his hair. And then we skip to a flashback, it seems, a recounting of a story. Now I want to say this word by word, but essentially what happened is, before Echo Gorge became what it was now, with all the animals and plant life going deranged and seemingly demonic, there was a man named Ordo, who was a herbalist, an apothecary actually, who actually came to Gorge one day and saw it as a treasure trove of plants, animals, and minerals, and used it regularly, and used what he found there to make medicine to help the sick or injured fairy folk that lived nearby. He was such a nice person that in time, pretty much fairies from neighboring areas started to come for his medicine. One day, he found a wayward giant girl and welcomed her like family. And he then even picked up a human baby that was abandoned in the gorge, and he named it Nasians. And he raised them like his grandchildren. And then they realized that Nasian was incredibly smart and studious, and he began to then Ordo began to help him study herbs, minerals, etc., so he can become a herbalist himself. And Nasian does in fact really, really admire Ordo for everything he's done and wants to become someone as great as he is. But one day, out of nowhere, he suddenly disappeared from the gorge. And that's when weird things started to happen around. We then know that we then learn that it is Dolores that is recounting all this. So right away, a chapter right after predict, okay, these two, they gotta be the children of the king in the end. Another thing that helped that I forgot to mention was that Dolores was the name of the End's best friend. And this chapter straight up just, okay, I was wrong. Like, very, very wrong. Nasian was abandoned in the gorge and is confirmed to be human. And Dolores, Ordo took her in, but the possibility of a connection between her and the End is possible. There's also the possibility that she is the daughter of Matrona, since Matrona did basically get married to a human. So it's very possible for that to happen, but I don't know. Maybe she is the daughter of King in the End or something. That's still a bit up in the air because we don't know where she came from. But it does explain why she basically worships the goddess Grace, since Ordo probably also worshipped the goddess race. So she says that after Ordo disappeared, all the plants, animals, and wildlife started turning vicious and violent. As Donnie's like, and this guy's the cause of that, or at least the fairies think so. Just then, the two fairies that we saw previously show up, saying that they brought backup and now they can finally teach Nasian a lesson, as Dolores says that they're all wrong. Percival checks on Nasian, and he says he needs to spread the drug around the gorge or else, but he is pretty much a little out of it from drinking that drug. But he tries to get up so he can do everything before it's too late, but then all the fairies start chucking rocks at him, saying that he's a demon child, that what happened was his fault. Ordo left probably because he was sick of him, and that he destroyed the gorge. But Percival just straight up catches every single one of the pebbles, as all the fairies are wondering why the hell he's protecting him, and what's up with Percival. As Percival just tells him to shut up because Nasian just made the drug to help save the whole gorge. They're wondering what he's saying, as we then see, pointed out by Donnie, that the plants and animals are starting to wither and die. As Nasian says that there's no time left, he has to distribute the drug. Percival thinks that all of it's gone. How is he going to do it? As Nasian says that there is a way. And we then see the liquid, the drug that he had ingested, is created from his very hands. Dolores is trying to tell everyone just to give Nasian a chance. As Percival realizes, is this his magic? And the color, is it what he drank? And he says yes. We then know that his magical power is called venom mixing. Whenever he ingests a type of poison, he basically teaches his body about it, and he can freely create and mix his own. Now this could honestly be very good in battle, because if he has made different types of poisons or venoms, he could actually mix them together and make some very lethal weapons, or what he's doing right now, possible medicines that can help people. He then tells everyone around to cover their mouths, as he then uses Misty Rain, possibly an attack name, and spreads that drug that he's created across the whole gorge. As we then see, the plants begin to basically regain their health and start to bloom with all the flowers, and the animals start to basically come back from the brink, and they're back to normal. Percival asks if he should really call it poison, as Nasian says something that is common in medicine throughout the years, that basically to heal the sick or wounded, you have to learn about poisons. Whether it be lethal herbs, poisonous creatures, deadly materials, correctly formulating them can make medicine. It's something that his grandfather made, as the gorge is fully restored. As Nasian remembers the words that Ordo told him, no life can be saved without knowing your poison. As Percival says, I hope he gets to see his grandfather again. As Nasian nods, saying, yeah, he hopes so. As we then go to the giant hole in the gorge, saying the gorge has regained its life force. How maddening that kid is in our way after all. As we see the same. It's definitely not a fairy because it doesn't have any wings. I don't know why I called it a fairy last time. But it's the same creature that Nasians had captured previous chapters ago, hovering over there with a sinister look, saying, "Didn't you raise that boy? It's up to a master to correct his apprentice, isn't it, Ordo?" As a creature reaches its giant hand out of possibly a portal as the chapter ends. So, for one, that creature that Nasians had captured to use as a guinea pig was possibly the cause of what happened to the gorge and the disappearance of Ordo. Meaning that if Percival hadn't have saved that creature, one of two things could have happened. Either A, Nasians might have actually used him as a guinea pig to save the gorge, or maybe even killed him in the process by accident, or that creature could have in fact killed Nasians himself. We have no idea if that thing is even powerful. But it is highly possible that due to what he said, that kid is actually in our way. Could it be possible that this guy knows about the Four Knights of the Apocalypse and is possibly part of that secret order of knights, or is in cahoots with them? Or is he just a third party just talking about Nasians in general? Or due to Ordo raising him to be a master herbalist? And then that creature we see is referred to as Ordo. Is it possible that Ordo was corrupted in some way by this creature, and that's why he had to leave? And is that hole just a hole, or is it a portal? Due to the very nature of the design, the silhouette, and the hand, is it possible that he was corrupted by chaos magic, by chaos energy? That's honestly the new theory I came up with just now. It's due to the nature of chaos power that we saw in the Seven Deadly Sins and in the recent chapters with the somewhat pocket dimension that Camelot seems to be in. It is highly possible that that creature is a creature of chaos, possibly gone rogue, or maybe a familiar of Cath that was left behind as like a type of, well, I say familiar, but maybe an agent to try and figure out a way to steal Arthur's chaos power and revive Cath. I mean, Cath was devoured by Arthur, so Cath probably no longer exists, but I don't know, this is all just a bunch of mishmash of theories right now, but I like the idea that since Arthur is supposedly going to be the person that the Four Knights are destined to fight due to the prophecy, it's I want to believe that chaos power is going to be a major factor throughout the story, due to, you know, the entire final arc of the Seven Deadly Sins manga revolving around that power, and Cath being the final villain, and Arthur's development and return as the King of Chaos. But overall, I'd really have to say that this was another solid chapter, and it sets up for a potential big fight between Percival, Nasians, Donnie, and Dolores against Ordo. And this would honestly be pretty emotional because Nasians and Dolores would have to fight their father figure, or grandfather figure to be more accurate, who has now become this hulking, demonic-looking creature, which is what I can assume from the silhouette we got at the very end of the chapter. And I want to see what this is going to do to Nasians, because if that creature that he had shows up with this mutated or possessed or corrupted Ordo, it could really hit something that, if he had known, he could have just killed the thing and avenged Ordo. Or he had, more or less, that he had the creature that took his grandfather, took his idol away from him, and did this to the gorge. And Percival will be like, wait, did I just set a bad guy free? I mean, that's pretty much what Percival will probably get as a reaction. But yeah, there's also the possibility that that little creature might actually be a demon and not like a creature made from chaos. I would like to see that there are demons from the demon world still coming into the human world, to Britannia, that managed to sneak by Zeldris and possibly cause trouble. And it would honestly be pretty awesome if this guy turned out to be a pretty powerful demon that was on Zeldris' radar, and he had to come to Britannia himself to deal with him as a fugitive. That would honestly be pretty damn awesome to introduce Zeldris into the story. But yeah, honestly, that's all I have to say about this chapter. My theory is that Ordo was corrupted by either some kind of demonic magic or by chaos itself. That creature was responsible, and now with the fight going on, maybe with all that said and done, maybe Nasian and Dolores will go with Percival and Donnie and Sin to Leonis to help him out. Especially if this creature that did this to Ordo is connected to the people that are hunting the Four Knights of the Apocalypse. And that would honestly give them a good reason to join Percival, to find out who would do this and possibly get revenge on the people that were responsible for giving that creature its orders. But yeah, what did you guys think? This is another solid chapter for the Four Knights of the Apocalypse. I can't wait to see what's going on with this, I'm going to call it the Echo Gorge arc. And I honestly can't wait till we see other members of the Sins at some point. Let me know down in the comments below what you think will happen next. Who is actually responsible for the Gorge and Ordo's transformation? Was it chaos power? Was it some sort of demonic magic or corruption? Let me know down below. And what do you guys think of the chapter in general? Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. And I hope you all have an awesome day.